On March 14th, God is saying, you are seconds away from missing your breakthrough. I need only 2 minutes of your time. Open this urgently before midnight. This is not a casual message. This is not background noise you play while scrolling through your day. This is a divine interruption. March 14th is not just another date on a calendar. It is a spiritual marker. There are moments in life when heaven leans in closer, when time itself feels compressed, when what has been delayed for months or even years suddenly stands at the edge of manifestation. And in those moments, the difference between stepping into your breakthrough and watching it pass you by can be measured in seconds. You may not feel it physically. The room may look the same. The air may seem ordinary. But in the spirit, something is shifting rapidly. There is an invisible countdown taking place. Heaven is not governed by human clocks, yet there are appointed times when obedience must meet opportunity. March 14th carries that weight. It carries urgency. It carries divine timing. And when God says you are seconds away from missing your breakthrough, it is not to create fear. It is to awaken you. Breakthroughs do not always arrive with loud announcements. Sometimes they come quietly, wrapped in a simple instruction. Sometimes they come disguised as a moment that seems small. But the danger is not in the size of the instruction. The danger is in hesitation. Because hesitation stretches seconds into losses. Delay can turn open doors into closed ones. And while God is merciful, there are moments when destiny requires immediate response. Midnight represents more than the end of a day. It is a threshold. It is the line between what was and what will be. Throughout history, midnight has symbolized sudden reversals, unexpected shifts, divine interventions that break chains and right outcomes. When the clock approaches midnight, something spiritual intensifies. Decisions made before midnight carry weight. Obedience before midnight can determine what unfolds after it. That is why this message is urgent. That is why you are being told to open this before midnight. Because thresholds do not stay open forever. You might be thinking, if God has something for me, won't it just happen? But breakthrough is often a partnership between divine release and human response. God opens doors, but you must walk through them. God releases instructions, but you must act on them. And sometimes the instruction is simple. Pause, listen, line, respond. 2 minutes. That is all that is being asked of you. 2 minutes that could reposition your life. 2 minutes that could interrupt cycles of delay. 2 minutes that could secure what you have been praying for in secret. There are blessings that wait for alignment. There are answers that hover over obedience. And there are breakthroughs that sit at the edge of manifestation, waiting for your agreement. When God says you are seconds away from missing it, He is revealing that you are also seconds away from receiving it. The distance between loss and release is razor thin right now. This is not about panic. It is about awareness. It is about recognizing that divine timing does not always repeat itself in the same way. Some people miss their moment because they are distracted. Others miss it because they assume there will always be another chance. But there are rare windows in the spirit realm, windows that open briefly and close quietly. March 14th carries the weight of such a window. You did not find this message by accident. Out of all the content you could be watching, out of all the voices speaking today, you are here. That is not coincidence. That is alignment. The enemy thrives on distraction during critical moments. When breakthrough is near, confusion increases. The noise increases. Doubt increases. It becomes easier to scroll, to postpone, to say, I'll come back to this later. But what if later is too late? What if this is the moment heaven has orchestrated? What if the very thing you have been asking God for is standing at the door, waiting for you to open it before midnight? Seconds matter when you are at the edge of something life-changing. Athletes train for years for a moment that lasts seconds. Investors watch markets shift in seconds. Drivers avoid accidents in seconds. How much more, then, should we treat spiritual seconds with reverence? When God compresses time, when He announces urgency, it means the atmosphere is charged with potential. It means the breakthrough is not distant, it is near enough to be missed. You are not far from your promise. You are not abandoned. You are not forgotten. In fact, the very urgency of this message proves the opposite. It proves that heaven is attentive. It proves that God is speaking. And it proves that something significant is within reach. March 14th is a line drawn in the Spirit. Midnight is the crossing point, and you are standing at the edge of both. So lean in. Silence the distractions. Treat these moments as sacred, because when God says you are seconds away from missing your breakthrough, it is not a threat. It is a loving alarm. It is a divine wake-up call. It is mercy wrapped in urgency. And what you choose to do in these next moments could determine whether you step into what has been prepared for you, or watch it slip past as the clock strikes midnight. On March 14th, God is saying, you are seconds away from missing your breakthrough. I need only 2 minutes of your time. Open this urgently before midnight. There is a reason the warning comes before the window closes. God does not allow urgency without explanation. When heaven sends an alert, it is not to pressure you, it is to position you. There is a spiritual law that governs timing. It is the law of obedience meeting opportunity. And when those two align, breakthrough is released. But when obedience hesitates, opportunities can quietly pass. Throughout history, the greatest shifts have often come with little notice. Instructions were given, and those who move quickly step into miracles. Those who delayed watched from a distance. The pattern is clear. Divine moments rarely wait for comfort. They require response. They demand attention. And they often arrive when life feels ordinary. That is what makes them so easy to overlook. Right now, something is aligning in your favor. But alignment requires agreement. The reason you are hearing this message before midnight is because there is still time. There is still space to respond. But that space is narrowing. Imagine standing before a door that is slowly closing. The opportunity is not been yet, but it is not guaranteed to remain open forever. This is what spiritual timing feels like. It feels subtle but weighty. It feels quiet but urgent. Sometimes we assume that if something is truly from God, it will come back around if we miss it. But there are moments when timing itself is part of the miracle. The instruction may be simple. The action may feel small. Yet heaven measures it differently. A delayed response can delay the release. A postponed desire can postpone the promise. That is why this warning is so direct. You are not being told that your breakthrough is impossible. You are being told that it is close enough to require immediate awareness. And here is what makes this even more serious. The closer you are to breakthrough, the stronger distraction becomes. When you are far from something, resistance is minimal. But when you are seconds away, opposition intensifies. Doubt whispers louder. Fatigue feels heavier. Other priorities suddenly seem urgent. This is not random. It is strategic. The enemy does not fight what is distant. He fights what is near. If distraction is increasing, it may be confirmation that your breakthrough is within reach. That is why this moment matters. That is why March 14th is not just another day. It is a divine checkpoint. It is a spiritual intersection where obedience and timing meet. And what you do now determines what unfolds next. This is not about striving. It is about responding. It is about recognizing that heaven is signaling you before the window closes. If this message is resonating in your spirit, do not ignore that confirmation. Pause for a second and acknowledge it. Like this video as a sign that you recognize the urgency of this moment. Subscribe to this channel so you do not miss future prophetic alerts that could position you for what God is doing next. And in the comments, type "I receive" as an act of agreement. Your declaration matters. Agreement activates alignment. When you declare it, you are not just commenting, you are partnering with the promise. Understand this clearly. The cost of delay is often invisible at first. Nothing dramatic happens immediately. The day continues. Life moves on. But over time, the weight of a missed moment becomes clear. The door that once felt open no longer responds the same way. The ease that once surrounded the opportunity fades. And you are left wondering what might have happened if you had moved when the instruction first came. But that is not your story. Not this time. Because you have been warned before the window closed. You have been alerted before midnight. And that means there is still grace in this moment. There is still power in your response. The breakthrough is not gone. It is near. So near that seconds matter. So near that 2 minutes can shift everything. God does not rush you without reason. When He compresses time, it is because something has reached its appointed hour. And appointed hours do not linger. They arrive. They present themselves. And they move forward. March 14th carries that sense of appointment. It carries the weight of something that has been building behind the scenes. And now, the final moments before release are here. The warning is not to create anxiety. It is to create action. It is to wake you up to the seriousness of timing. You are not waiting on your breakthrough as much as you think. In many ways, your breakthrough is waiting on you. Waiting for your agreement. Waiting for your attention. Waiting for your immediate response before midnight draws the line. You are not seconds away from destruction. You are seconds away from decision. And that decision determines whether the door remains open or quietly closes. Take this seriously. Treat this as sacred. Because the warning before the window closes is mercy. And mercy is speaking to you right now. On March 14th, God is saying, you are seconds away from missing your breakthrough. I need only 2 minutes of your time. Open this urgently before midnight. There is an invisible countdown happening in the spirit realm right now. You cannot see it with your natural eyes. You cannot hear it with your physical ears. But it is real. Just because there is no ticking clock on your wall announcing it does not mean time is not moving. In the spirit, timing is precise, is exact, and it does not stall for hesitation. To be seconds away spiritually means you are standing at the edge of manifestation. It means what you have prayed for is no longer distant. It is not floating somewhere in the future. It is near. It is forming. It is aligning. But when something is that close, the battle intensifies. The enemy does not waste energy fighting what is far away. He concentrates his resistance when you are seconds from crossing over. That is why distraction increases. That is why weariness feels heavier. That is why doubt suddenly tries to cloud your clarity. The invisible countdown is not meant to frighten you. It is meant to focus you. Heaven is not rushing because it is chaotic. Heaven is moving because something has reached its appointed second. There are moments when God accelerates time. What seemed delayed for months can suddenly compress into minutes. What felt blocked can suddenly break open. But acceleration requires awareness. If you are not paying attention, you can miss the shift entirely. Right now, something is shifting around you. Doors that were tightly closed are beginning to loosen. Conversations that seemed impossible are aligning. Answers that felt delayed are forming. But the final seconds before breakthrough are often the most intense. Think of a seed pushing through the soil. The pressure is greatest right before it breaks the surface. The resistance is strongest just before release. That is where many people give up. They stop praying. They stop believing. They assume nothing is happening because they cannot see it. But in reality, they were seconds away. You must understand this. Distraction is the enemy's final strategy before your breakthrough. He cannot cancel what God has ordained, but he can try to delay your participation. He can try to cloud your focus. He can try to convince you that tomorrow is safer than today. But what if tomorrow is past the appointed time? What if midnight marks a shift that cannot be reversed the same way? This is why urgency matters. Not panic, not fear, but focused urgency. Divine acceleration works suddenly. One moment nothing seems to change. The next moment everything rearranges. A call comes. An opportunity appears. A burden lifts. A clarity settles in your spirit. But those sudden shifts often hinge on one simple act of obedience. One moment of attention. One response that aligns you with heaven's movement. 2 minutes may not seem like much in your schedule, but in the spirit, 2 minutes can position you correctly when the release happens. March 14th carries that sense of divine acceleration. It carries the weight of a spiritual intersection. You are not here randomly. You are not hearing this message by accident. The invisible countdown brought you here, and the fact that you are listening means there is still time to respond. But time is not standing still. Seconds are moving. The atmosphere is shifting. There is also an unseen battle over your focus. When breakthrough is near, small distractions feel bigger than usual. Minor inconveniences feel overwhelming. Emotional heaviness tries to drain your energy. These are not coincidences. They are signs of proximity. The closer you are to something significant, the more resistance attempts to pull you away. But resistance is not proof of failure. It is proof of nearness. You may have felt like giving up recently. You may have wondered if your prayers were unheard. You may have thought the silence meant denial. But what if the silence was simply the final seconds before movement? What if heaven was aligning pieces behind the scenes while you waited? What if March 14th is the day the alignment completes? This is why you cannot afford to disengage now. This is why you cannot treat this as just another message. The invisible countdown means something is happening whether you feel it or not. Breakthrough does not always announce itself loudly. Sometimes it whispers. Sometimes it nudges. Sometimes it asks for 2 minutes of your attention before midnight. And your response determines whether you step into acceleration or watch it pass quietly. If this is stirring something deep within you, that stirring is not random. It is confirmation. It is heaven signaling that you are closer than you think. But what happens next changes everything. Type "I will not miss IT" in the comments if this resonates with you. Lesson code 914 is now activated. As you declare those words, may clarity replace confusion, and may focus silence every distraction trying to pull you away from your appointed moment. And now, as this urgency settles into your spirit, I want to speak to those who feel the weight of this message deeply. When you choose to sow into this mission, you are not supporting a channel, you are opening a gate for someone else's breakthrough to reach them in time. The word declares that as you sow beside all waters, your seed will not return empty, and right now God is breathing on every obedient act. If this message stirred you, that stirring is your invitation. I am stepping forward in faith, and as you step with me through Super Thanks, membership, or PayPal in the description or through the QR code on your screen, you become part of a river carrying urgent warnings to souls standing at their own midnight. This is not a donation. It is a prophetic seed in a moment of acceleration. Those who release will reap in the same season. I declare that as you give, heaven responds with multiplied clarity, protection, and breakthrough over your house. Do not delay your obedience. Activate your seed now. On March 14th, God is saying, you are seconds away from missing your breakthrough. I need only 2 minutes of your time. Open this urgently before midnight. 2 minutes may seem insignificant in the span of a full day. You spend more than 2 minutes checking notifications. You spend more than 2 minutes deciding what to eat. You spend more than 2 minutes replaying worries in your mind. And yet, heaven is asking for just 2 focused, intentional minutes. Why? Because when a moment is appointed by God, length is not what gives it power. Alignment does. God does not measure impact the way we do. We think in terms of hours, days, and years. God thinks in terms of obedience, positioning, and timing. There are moments that carry more spiritual weight than entire seasons. There are decisions that take seconds but shape decades. There are prayers whispered in under 2 minutes that unlock doors that have been shut for years. It is not about duration. It is about surrender within the duration. When God says He needs only 2 minutes of your time, He is revealing something profound. Your breakthrough is not waiting on complexity. It is waiting on consent. It is waiting on your focused agreement. Those 2 minutes represent a pause from distraction, a pause from fear, a pause from doubt. In those 2 minutes, you step out of noise and into alignment. And alignment shifts everything. Think about how many life-altering moments happen quickly. A yes at the right time. A decision to step forward instead of backward. A choice to trust instead of withdrawal. These moments do not take hours to execute. They take courage. They take clarity. And often, they take only minutes. But because they feel small, we underestimate them. We assume breakthrough must be dramatic and lengthy. Yet God often moves through simplicity. 2 minutes of intentional focus before midnight can reset your trajectory. 2 minutes of prayer can recalibrate your spirit. 2 minutes of obedience can silence weeks of confusion. When heaven compresses an instruction into something so small, it is not minimizing the miracle. It is magnifying the urgency. It is saying the door is already open. You just need to step through. There is also a reason the instruction is specific. Before midnight. Midnight marks a transition. It is the dividing line between what was and what will be. When God highlights a time boundary, it is because something is shifting at that boundary. The instruction is not random. It is strategic. 2 minutes before midnight is not just about clock time. It is about spiritual positioning. It is about responding while the window is still open. Sometimes we delay because we expect more details. We want full explanations. We want to see the entire path before we take the first step. But God often asks for small acts of faith that unlock larger revelations. If He showed you everything at once, it would not require trust. Those 2 minutes are an act of trust. They are a declaration that you believe what He is saying about your breakthrough being near. You may wonder, can something really change that quickly? The answer is yes. Momentum builds quietly over time. Then suddenly, it releases. Just as water builds pressure behind a dam before breaking through, your prayers have been building pressure. Your obedience has been accumulating. Your faith has been stacking layer upon layer. And now, the final release may only require a small, decisive act. Do not despise the simplicity of the instruction. 2 minutes may be the hinge on which your next season turns. 2 minutes may be the difference between lingering in delay and stepping into acceleration. 2 minutes may be the act that signals heaven. I am ready. I am aligned. I am responding. God does not always require grand gestures. Sometimes He asks for focus. Sometimes He asks for stillness. Sometimes He asks for immediate attention before the clock strikes midnight. And those who treat the small instruction seriously often find themselves stepping into large results. March 14th is marked. Midnight is approaching. The instruction is clear. 2 minutes is all that stands between where you are and what is about to unfold. This is not about pressure. It is about precision. Heaven is precise. Timing is precise. And your response must be precise. Do not overthink it. Do not postpone it. Do not assume it can wait. When breakthrough is seconds away, small acts matter most. God only needs 2 minutes because the heavy lifting has already been done in the unseen realm. The alignment has already been prepared. The door has already been positioned. Now it is your move. 2 minutes of obedience. 2 minutes of focus. 2 minutes before midnight. And what has been building quietly behind the scenes may suddenly step into full view. On March 14th, God is saying, you are seconds away from missing your breakthrough. I need only 2 minutes of your time. Open this urgently before midnight. There is a reason the instruction is tied to midnight. Midnight is not just a time on a clock. It is a spiritual principle. It represents transition. It represents the end of one cycle and the birth of another. It is the moment when yesterday fully closes and tomorrow officially begins. And in the spirit, transitions carry power. Throughout history, the most dramatic shifts have often happened at midnight. It is the hour when silence is deepest. It is the hour when distractions are fewer. It is the hour when movements in the unseen realm are less interrupted by the noise of the day. Midnight is a dividing line. And when God speaks in connection to a dividing line, it means something is being separated. Delay from release, stagnation from movement, waiting from fulfillment. The midnight principle teaches that breakthrough often comes at the darkest point. Just before a new day begins, the night feels complete. There is no visible sign of sunrise yet. Everything still looks dark. But that darkness is temporary. It is the final stretch before light breaks through. Many people give up in the final stretch because nothing appears to be changing. They assume the silence means nothing is happening. But in reality, midnight is often when heaven is preparing the shift. Midnight is also a test of attention. During the day, it is easy to respond quickly because activity keeps you alert. But at night, when you are tired, when your guard is down, when your energy is low, your response requires intention. That is why midnight obedience carries weight. It proves seriousness. It proves readiness. It proves that you value what God is saying enough to act even when it is inconvenient. There is something else about midnight. It is irreversible. Once the clock crosses that line, the previous day cannot be reclaimed. The opportunity attached to that specific date does not return in the same form. This is why urgency surrounds this message. March 14th has a grace attached to it, a specific alignment, a specific window. And once midnight passes, that alignment shifts into something new. It may not mean loss forever, but it does mean the moment will not look the same again. The midnight principle is about recognizing divine thresholds. Every season of your life has thresholds. There are moments when you can feel that something is ending and something else is about to begin. But thresholds require crossing. They require movement. If you stand still at a doorway long enough, you remain in between. You are no longer fully in the old season, but you have not stepped into the new one either. That in-between space can feel confusing. It can feel heavy. It can feel uncertain. But it is temporary, if you move. Right now, you are standing at a threshold. March 14th marks the doorway. Midnight is the hinge. And your response is the step that carries you across. God is not asking for perfection. He is asking for participation. He is not demanding extraordinary effort. He is asking for focused obedience within a specific time frame. There is also a spiritual reversal that often happens at midnight. When situations seem locked, when outcomes appear final, when options look limited, midnight can introduce a sudden change. Chains can break. News can shift. Atmospheres can turn. But reversals require readiness. If you are not alert to the moment, you can sleep through your own release. Many people pray for change but do not prepare for it. They ask for breakthrough but do not expect it at a precise hour. The midnight principle challenges that mindset. It says breakthrough is not random. It is timed. It says heaven is intentional about moments. It says some blessings are attached to specific crossings. And if you take those crossings seriously, you position yourself for acceleration. You may feel like you have been in a long night. You may feel like you have been waiting longer than expected. But long nights make midnight more significant. The longer the darkness, the more powerful the transition into a new day. What if this is not just another midnight? What if this is the midnight where what has been delayed finally shifts? This is why the instruction is clear. Open this urgently before midnight. Not tomorrow morning. Not when it is convenient. Before midnight. Because the grace attached to this moment is tied to its timing. God's instructions are rarely arbitrary. When He marks a time, it is because heaven is aligning something within that frame. The midnight principle reminds you that you are not just managing time, you are stewarding moments. And moments determine seasons. If you cross this threshold intentionally, you do not carry old delays into the new day. You step forward lighter, clear, position. March 14th is the doorway. Midnight is the dividing line. And you are not meant to watch it pass. You are meant to cross it with awareness, obedience, and expectation that what waits on the other side is not more delay, but breakthrough. On March 14th, God is saying, you are seconds away from missing your breakthrough. I need only 2 minutes of your time. Open this urgently before midnight. Before every major breakthrough, there is almost always a test. Not a test designed to make you fail, but a test designed to reveal whether you are ready to carry what you have been asking for. The closer you get to promotion, the more intense the pressure becomes. The closer you get to release, the heavier the resistance feels. This is not coincidence. This is preparation. Many people expect breakthrough to feel peaceful and effortless as it approaches. But often, it feels the opposite. It feels like tension. It feels like opposition. It feels like everything is pushing back at once. That pressure is not proof that you are far from your promise. It is often proof that you are close. Just as a runner feels the greatest strain in the final stretch before the finish line, you may be feeling the strain because you are nearing completion. The test before the breakthrough usually targets your focus. It tests your patience. It tests your willingness to obey when the instructions seem small. It tests whether you will move when you are tired. And right now, with March 14th marked and midnight approaching, the test is simple but powerful. Will you respond immediately, or will you delay? Pressure has a way of clouding judgment. When life feels overwhelming, even simple instructions can feel heavy. You may think, I will handle this later, or I will come back to this tomorrow. But the test is hidden inside that thought. The test is whether you recognize the weight of timing. The test is whether you treat this moment as sacred or ordinary. You may have noticed that in recent days, small frustrations have increased. Minor setbacks have felt larger than they should. Emotional fatigue may have tried to settle in. These are classic signs of pre-breakthrough testing. When the enemy senses movement in the spirit, he attempts to exhaust you before you cross over. He hopes you will disengage. He hopes you will lose interest. He hopes you will assume nothing is happening and step back. But what if this exhaustion is not a sign to retreat? What if it is confirmation that something significant is about to shift? Tests reveal strength. They reveal endurance. They reveal alignment. When you pass the test of immediate obedience, you demonstrate readiness for greater responsibility. There is also a refinement that happens before breakthrough. God does not just release blessings, He prepares hearts. If He gave you everything too early, it might overwhelm you. So He allows moments of stretching, moments where you must choose trust over emotion, moments where you must choose obedience over convenience. These choices may seem small, but they are shaping you for what is coming next. The test before the breakthrough often feels like silence. You pray and hear little. You wait and see no visible change. You act in faith and receive no immediate confirmation. That silence can feel discouraging. But silence is not absence. Silence can be construction. It can be alignment behind the scenes. It can be the final adjustments being made before release. And here is what is powerful about this moment. The test is not complicated. You are not being asked to climb a mountain. You are not being asked to solve an impossible problem. You are being asked to give 2 focused minutes before midnight. The simplicity of the instruction is part of the test. Will you honor something small because you believe it carries spiritual weight? When breakthrough is seconds away, quitting becomes most tempting. The thought to disengage becomes strongest. But that is exactly when perseverance matters most. Imagine stopping just steps before the door opens. Imagine walking away just before the answer arrives. Many people do not miss their breakthrough because it was denied. They miss it because they withdrew too early. You are not being tested to be rejected. You are being tested to be refined. And refinement always precedes elevation. The pressure you feel is shaping your endurance. The urgency you sense is sharpening your focus. The instruction you have received is positioning you for alignment. March 14th is not random. Midnight is not symbolic without meaning. The test is embedded in this timing. Will you treat this as just another message? Or will you recognize it as a moment of preparation before release? Breakthrough requires capacity, and capacity is built through testing. If you respond now, if you move with urgency and clarity, you demonstrate readiness. You show heaven that you value timing. You show that you can carry what is being prepared. Do not misinterpret the pressure. Do not confuse testing with abandonment. You are not being pushed away from your promise. You are being pulled toward it. The test before the breakthrough is proof that something is near. And if you pass this moment with obedience, what has been building behind the scenes will not remain hidden much longer. On March 14th, God is saying, you are seconds away from missing your breakthrough. I need only 2 minutes of your time. Open this urgently before midnight. There is a quiet trap that has stolen more breakthroughs than failure ever could. It is not rebellion. It is not disbelief. It is not even open resistance. It is the simple phrase, I'll do it later. Those 4 words seem harmless. They feel reasonable. They feel safe. But in moments of divine timing, later can become the thief of destiny. Procrastination rarely feels dangerous in the moment. It feels practical. It feels like you are managing your time. You tell yourself you will respond when you are less tired, when you have more clarity, when it is more convenient. But breakthrough does not always wait for convenience. Divine moments are not scheduled around comfort. They are scheduled around purpose. And when purpose calls, delay becomes costly. The trap of I'll do it later is subtle because it disguises itself as wisdom. You convince yourself that waiting will not change anything. You assume the opportunity will remain just as open tomorrow as it is today. But what if tomorrow carries a different alignment? What if midnight marks a shift that cannot be recreated the same way? Timing is not just about the event. It is about the environment surrounding the event. And environments change. There are people who have missed life-altering opportunities not because they rejected them, but because they postponed them. They intended to respond. They planned to act. They believed they had more time. But when they finally turned back, the moment had moved on. The grace attached to that specific second was no longer there. The urgency had passed. And what once felt alive now felt distant. Right now, you are being warned before that happens. March 14th is marked. Midnight is approaching. The instruction is clear. Yet the temptation to say, I'll finish this later, may already be whispering in your mind. You may feel the pull to multitask, to check something else first, to come back when it feels quieter. That whisper is the test. That whisper is the trap. Delay does not always look like disobedience. Sometimes it looks like distraction. You begin another task. You answer another message. You scroll a little longer. Minutes pass quietly. And before you realize it, the window narrows. This is how destiny moments slip away. Not with loud refusal, but with quiet postponement. The psychology of hesitation is rooted in fear. Not always obvious fear, but subtle uncertainty. What if nothing changes? What if this is not important? What if I am overreacting? These questions create enough doubt to justify waiting. But hesitation often increases when breakthrough is near. When something significant is about to happen, your mind searches for stability. It tries to hold on to what is familiar. And stepping into a new season always feels unfamiliar at first. I'll do it later is comfortable because it avoids immediate decision. It postpones commitment. It keeps you in control of the timeline. But divine timing requires surrender of control. It asks you to trust that now is the right moment, even if you do not fully understand why. The tragedy of delay is not always immediate. You may not feel regret the next morning. You may not notice a dramatic shift. But over time, you sense that something was lost. A momentum that was building quietly slows down. An urgency that once felt strong fades. And you cannot quite explain why. Often, it traces back to a moment when you assumed you had more time. This is why urgency surrounds this message. Not because God is impatient, but because timing is precise. You are not being pressured into chaos. You are being invited into alignment. And alignment does not wait for perfect conditions. It responds when called. Consider how many opportunities in your past required quick action. A job application submitted just before the deadline. A phone call answered at the right second. A decision made without overthinking. Those moments shape outcomes. If you had delayed, the story would have been different. Spiritual timing operates in the same way. Small delays can create large detours. Right now, the instruction is simple. 2 minutes before midnight. It sounds small, but it carries weight. The enemy would love for you to treat it lightly, to assume it can wait, to push it aside. Because he understands something you must also understand. When you respond immediately, you break the cycle of delay that has followed you before. Procrastination is not just about this moment. It is a pattern, and patterns shape seasons. If you consistently respond late, you consistently step into outcomes late. But if you break the pattern now, if you respond quickly, decisively, you shift more than just tonight. You shift momentum. Do not underestimate the power of immediate obedience. It creates acceleration. It builds confidence. It aligns you with divine rhythm. When God speaks and you move without hesitation, you signal readiness for greater responsibility. "I'll do it later" feels harmless, but in moments like this, it can be the difference between stepping into breakthrough and watching it drift away quietly. March 14th is not meant to be postponed. Midnight is not meant to be ignored. The window is open now. Break the trap. Silence the whisper. Choose now over later. Because when you are seconds away from breakthrough, later may not look the same as now. On March 14th, God is saying, you are seconds away from missing your breakthrough. I need only 2 minutes of your time. Open this urgently before midnight. There is a sound in the spirit when acceleration begins. It is not always audible, but it is unmistakable. It feels like sudden clarity after confusion. It feels like movement after stagnation. It feels like doors unlocking that once felt sealed shut. Divine acceleration does not crawl forward. It surges. Acceleration means that what once took months can happen in moments. It means conversations shift quickly. It means opportunities align unexpectedly. It means answers arrive without the long delay you prepared yourself for. But acceleration is often preceded by intense stillness. Before a plane takes off, it pauses at the runway. Before a storm breaks, the air grows heavy. Before breakthrough accelerates, there is often a silence that feels stretched thin. That silence is not absence, it is buildup. March 14th carries the atmosphere of buildup. Something has been forming beneath the surface of your life. You may not have seen it clearly. You may have assumed nothing was changing. But beneath what you could observe, alignment has been happening. Pieces have been moving. Conditions have been shifting. And now, the pace is increasing. Divine acceleration can feel overwhelming if you are not prepared. When things begin to move quickly, it requires quick agreement. It requires trust. It requires readiness to act without overanalyzing. That is why this message is urgent. Because acceleration does not wait for indecision. It partners with those who are alert. There are signs that acceleration is near. Sudden realizations that change your perspective. Unexpected confirmations that echo what you have been praying about. A stirring in your spirit that says, now. These are not coincidences. They are signals. When heaven prepares to move swiftly, it often whispers before it roars. You may have noticed that certain doors have been closing recently. Plans that once seemed secure may have shifted. Relationships may have adjusted. Circumstances may have rearranged. At first, It may have felt like loss, but sometimes closure is preparation. God clears space before He accelerates movement. He removes distractions before He increases speed. Acceleration also requires focus. When a vehicle speeds up, the driver must pay closer attention to the road. Small distractions become more dangerous at higher speeds. In the same way, as your breakthrough accelerates, your focus must sharpen. This is not the moment to drift mentally. This is not the moment to treat timing casually. This is the moment to lean in. Why March 14th? Because certain dates carry spiritual significance tied to your journey. Not every day holds the same weight. Some days are ordinary. Others are marked. You may not fully understand why this date feels different, but you can sense it. There is a tension in the atmosphere, a feeling that something is about to tip forward. The tipping point is acceleration. When acceleration begins, it often surprises you. What felt delayed suddenly feels urgent. What seemed blocked suddenly feels accessible. What appeared distant suddenly feels close. And when that shift happens, hesitation becomes costly. Because acceleration does not pause for those who are undecided. The sound of divine acceleration is not chaos. It is momentum. It is forward movement with purpose. It is God saying, "The time has come." But momentum requires participation. If you stand still while everything else moves forward, you can feel left behind. That is why the instruction remains clear: 2 minutes before midnight. It is above aligning yourself with the momentum already building. You may have prayed for speed. You may have asked God to shorten the wait. But when speed arrives, it demands readiness. It demands that you release old doubts quickly. It demands that you let go of hesitation immediately. Acceleration magnifies what is already inside you. If you are focused, you move forward quickly. If you are distracted, you feel overwhelmed. Right now, the atmosphere carries acceleration. You can sense it in the urgency of this message. You can feel it in the narrowing window before midnight. You can perceive it in the subtle stirring within you. This is not random energy. It is divine timing converging with your obedience. And here is the truth. You will understand why this date was marked. Type suddenly in the comments if you are ready for divine acceleration. Lesson code 318 is now activated. As you declare that word, may every delayed answer begin to move swiftly toward you, and may clarity increases, speed increases in your life. And as this acceleration builds, I want to speak directly to those who feel called to fuel this movement of God's Word. When you sow into this mission, you are not giving to a platform. You are pouring oil into a lamp that refuses to go out before midnight. Scripture declares that those who sow in faith will reap in due season, and this is a due season moment. If this message ignited something within you, that ignition is your invitation. I am stepping into acceleration, and as you release your seat through Super Thanks, membership, or PayPal in the description, or through the QR code on your screen, you help carrying this urgent word to someone standing at their own threshold. This is not routine giving, it is prophetic participation. I declare that as you sow into acceleration, acceleration answers back in your life. Open your hand now and move as the Spirit prompts you. On March 14th, God is saying, you are seconds away from missing your breakthrough. I need only 2 minutes of your time. Open this urgently before midnight. Everything you have heard up to this point leads to one defining truth. Your response determines the release. Breakthrough is not just about God deciding to move. It is about you choosing to align when He does. Heaven has already prepared the moment. The timing has been marked. The window is open, but release requires agreement. Throughout your life, you have seen how partnership works. A door can be unlocked, but you still have to push it open. A gift can be offered, but you still have to receive it. A call can come through, but you still have to answer it. In the same way, breakthrough can be prepared, but you still have to respond. March 14th is not just a date, it is an invitation. Midnight is not just a time, it is a line of decision. And right now, you are standing in between preparation and manifestation. The difference between the two is response. That is why urgency surrounds this message, because delayed response can delay visible release. There is a powerful principle in the spirit. Agreement activates movement. When you agree with what God is saying, you align yourself with what He is doing. When you declare, "Yes, I receive," you are not just speaking words. You are stepping into partnership. You are signaling readiness. You are demonstrating faith in action. Some people wait to see evidence before they respond. They want proof before participation. But faith moves first. Faith agrees before it sees. Faith responds before it understands every detail. And often, the visible breakthrough follows the invisible agreement. Right now, heaven is waiting on your response. Not because God is powerless without it, but because He honors your will. He does not force doors open in your life without your cooperation. He invites you. He prompts you. He alerts you. And then He waits for your yes. Your yes does not have to be dramatic. It does not have to be loud. It can be simple and focused. 2 minutes of intentional alignment before midnight. 2 minutes where you shut out distraction and say, "God, I am present. I am listening. I am responding." That response carries weight. Understand this clearly. You are not being tested for worthiness. You are being positioned for readiness. The release has already been set in motion, but participation determines how smoothly you step into it. If you hesitate, you create friction. If you respond, you create flow. This is also why your declaration matters. Words carry authority. When you speak agreement, you reinforce alignment. When you speak doubt, you reinforce delay. That is why you must guard what you say in moments like this. Speak readiness. Speak expectation. Speak agreement. If this message is confirming something in your spirit, do not keep that confirmation silent. Like this video right now as a sign that you are choosing agreement over hesitation. Subscribe to this channel so you remain aligned with timely prophetic messages that position you before key moments. And in the comments, declare boldly, "I will not miss my moment." Your words matter. Your engagement is not routine. It is an act of alignment. There is also power in sharing urgency. If you know someone who has been on the edge of breakthrough, someone who has been waiting, struggling, almost giving up, share this message with them immediately. You may be the reason they do not miss their midnight crossing. When you pass on a timely word, you become part of someone else's release. The atmosphere right now is charged with decision. The window has not closed yet. The clock has not struck midnight. There is still space for alignment, but that space will not remain indefinitely. That is why your response must be intentional. You may feel a mixture of anticipation and pressure. That is normal when you are standing at the edge of change. But do not confuse pressure with danger. Pressure often precedes release. When a door is about to open, tension builds at the hinge. When a breakthrough is about to manifest, spiritual momentum intensifies. You are not being rushed into confusion. You are being invited into precision. March 14th is precise. Midnight is precise. 2 minutes is precise. And your response must be equally precise. Heaven has spoken. The warning has been given. The acceleration has been announced. Now it comes down to this. Will you respond before the line is crossed? Because what happens in these next moments will echo beyond tonight. And if you choose alignment now, you will look back and realize this with a turning point. On March 14th, God is saying, you are seconds away from missing your breakthrough. I need only 2 minutes of your time. Open this urgently before midnight. There is something you must understand right now. Your breakthrough is not beginning tonight. It has already been forming. What you are standing at is not the start of the miracle, but the unveiling of what has been developing behind the scenes. For weeks, maybe even months, alignment has been taking place beyond your sight. Conversations you know nothing about have been shifting. Circumstances have been rearranging. Delays that frustrated you were actually positioning pieces more precisely. What felt like silence was not inactivity. It was preparation. Just because you did not see visible change does not mean nothing was moving. Breakthrough often forms quietly before it manifests suddenly. Think about how a seed grows. Beneath the soil, roots spread long before a sprout appears. If you judge the process only by what you could see above ground, you would assume nothing was happening. But beneath the surface, expansion was already underway. In the same way, your prayers have been working beneath the surface of your circumstances. There were moments when you felt forgotten. Moments when you wondered if your faith was wasted. Moments when you questioned whether anything would ever shift. But those moments were part of the formation process. Delay was not denial. It was construction. And construction is rarely visible until the structure rises. Right now, the reason urgency surrounds this message is because formation is nearing completion. The final layers are settling into place. The last alignments are clicking together. And when that final piece locks in, manifestation follows quickly. That is why you are being told you are seconds away, not minutes away from starting. Seconds away from seeing what has already been prepared. You may have sensed subtle changes recently. A shift in perspective. A new clarity about decisions. A release of old attachments. Even small things like unexpected peace or sudden insight are signs that something is forming. Breakthrough does not appear randomly. It reveals itself after a period of hidden development. Sometimes God allows you to feel the weight of waiting so that you fully recognize the value of release. If everything came instantly, you would not perceive its significance. But when you have endured seasons of uncertainty, the arrival of clarity feels powerful. When you have walked through delay, acceleration feels extraordinary. The danger at this stage is discouragement. Many people quit during formation because they assume nothing is happening. They stop expecting. They lower their anticipation. And when manifestation finally arrives, they are not positioned to receive it fully. That is why this message is interrupting you now. It is restoring expectation before the unveiling. The breakthrough forming in your life is not fragile. It has been carefully aligned. It has been intentionally prepared. It has been time. But readiness determines how smoothly you step into it. If you approach it distracted, you may stumble. If you approach it alert, you step forward confidently. Midnight represents the unveiling moment, the crossing into visible change. But do not mistake the crossing for the creation. Creation has already been happening. The unseen has already been working. What feels urgent now is simply the final stage of a long preparation. You are not chasing something distant. You are approaching something near. So near that the line between waiting and receiving is then. So near that 2 focused minutes can shift your positioning from observer to participant. There is also something deeply personal about this formation. It has been tailored to your journey. The lessons you learned during delay were not random. The endurance you built was not wasted. The faith you strengthened was not unnecessary. Every part of the waiting season shaped you to carry what is about to be revealed. Breakthrough is not just about changed circumstances. It is about change of capacity. You are not the same person you were when you first started praying for this shift. You have grown. You have matured. You have endured. And now, what is forming matches who you have become. March 14th is not announcing a possibility. It is announcing proximity. Midnight in non-threatening laws. It is signaling transition. And the breakthrough you thought was far away is closer than you realize because it has already been building quietly. Do not let familiarity blind you. Just because you have waited before does not mean this moment is the same. Just because days have passed without visible change does not mean tonight carries no weight. Formation has a rhythm, and when it reaches completion, revelation follows swiftly. You are not at the beginning. You are at the unveiling. The pieces are aligned. The groundwork is laid. The pressure has done its work. Now the final seconds before manifestation are ticking. And when the line is crossed, you will realize that everything you endured was shaping this very moment. On March 14th, God is saying, you are seconds away from missing your breakthrough. I need only 2 minutes of your time. Open this urgently before midnight. You have heard the urgency. You understand the timing. You sense the acceleration. Now comes the final midnight instruction. This is the moment where everything becomes practical. Everything becomes personal. Everything becomes immediate. The final instruction is simple, but it carries spiritual weight. Pause intentionally before midnight and align yourself fully with what God is doing. Do not treat the final minutes casually. Do not allow distraction to steal your focus. Set aside the noise. Silence your notifications. Step away from anything that fragments your attention. Because the last moments before a shift are sacred. There is something powerful about intentional pause. In a world that constantly moves, choosing stillness is an act of authority. When you stop everything else and say, "This moment belongs to God," you reclaim control over your focus. You demonstrate that you value timing more than routine. And in that focused pause, clarity increases. Before midnight, speak clearly and deliberately. Acknowledge what you are stepping out of and what you are stepping into. Say it in your own words if you need to, but let it be intentional. God, I release delay. I release hesitation. I release fear. I step into alignment. I receive what you have prepared. Your words create alignment. They shift the atmosphere around you. They mark the transition internally before it happens externally. Do not underestimate the power of agreement in this final hour. Heaven responds to clarity. When you articulate your yes, you remove ambiguity. You remove doubt. You remove half-heartedness. And when doubt is removed, confidence grows. Confidence is not arrogance. It is settled trust. It is knowing that the same God who prepared the breakthrough is capable of delivering it. This is also a moment for gratitude. Even before you see the manifestation, thank God for what is forming. Gratitude signals expectation. It says, I trust what I cannot yet see. When you thank Him before midnight, you are not pretending the breakthrough has happened. You are declaring that you believe it will. As midnight approaches, resist the temptation to rush through the moment. Do not glance at the clock anxiously. Instead, Remain steady. Remain grounded. Breakthrough does not respond to panic. It responds to alignment. Let your spirit settle. Let your breathing slow. Let your focus sharpen. There may be an urge to analyze everything, to ask how it will happen, when it will unfold, what it will look like. But this is not the hour for overthinking. This is the hour for trust. The details will reveal themselves in time. Your role right now is obedience within the time given. If there are specific distractions that have been pulling at you all day, intentionally set them aside. If there are doubts that keep whispering, silence them with declaration. If fear tries to creep in, counter it with truth. You are not stepping into uncertainty alone. You are stepping into something God has already formed. Midnight is not something to fear. It is something to cross with awareness. When the clock shifts, let it symbolize your own shift. From waiting to expecting. From questioning to trusting. From hesitation to action. That internal crossing is just as important as any external change. After midnight passes, remain alert in the days that follow. Breakthrough does not always explode instantly. Sometimes it unfolds progressively. Doors may open subtly. Conversations may begin unexpectedly. Opportunities may present themselves quietly. Stay attentive. The alignment you create before midnight carries forward. Do not return to old patterns of doubt once the clock changes. Do not second-guess your obedience. What you did in those final moments matters. Even if visible change does not appear immediately, trust that movement has been set in motion. Seeds planted in alignment produce fruit in due time. This final instruction is not complicated. It is intentional pause. It is spoken agreement. It is focused trust. It is gratitude before evidence. It is crossing midnight with awareness instead of indifference. You have been warned. You have been prepared. You have been invited. Now you stand at the threshold. Do not treat this like any other night. Treat it as the crossing it in. Because when you honor the moment honors you. And what hath been forming quietly will not remain hidden forever. On March 14th, God is saying, you are seconds away from missing your breakthrough. I need only 2 minutes of your time. Open this urgently before midnight. You have walked through the urgency. You have heard the warning. You have felt the acceleration. Now, as we come to this final declaration, let this settle deeply in your spirit. You will not miss this. The purpose of this message was never to create fear. It was to awaken focus. It was to pull you out of distraction and position you at the threshold with clarity. You were not chosen to hear this by accident. Out of countless voices and countless moments, you were led here. That alone is confirmation that heaven is attentive to you. March 14th was marked not as a threat, but as an opportunity. Midnight was highlighted not as a loss, but as a line of transition. And the instruction of 2 minutes was not a burden, but an invitation into alignment. Everything about this moment has been precise, intentional, measured. You are not behind. You are not forgotten. You are not disqualified. In fact, the very urgency you felt is evidence that something significant is close enough to require your attention. Breakthrough does not warn those who are far away. It alerts those who are near. Let this be the moment you settle it in your heart. You will not sabotage your own crossing. You will not let distraction steal what has been forming. You will not allow hesitation to override obedience. You will not postpone what heaven has timed. There may have been other moments in your life when you reacted too slowly. There may have been opportunities you recognized only after they passed. But this is not one of those times. Awareness has been given in advance. Grace has spoken before the line was crossed, and that grace is still present. Even if fear tries to whisper, even if doubt attempts to rise, remember this: the same God who prepared your breakthrough also prepared you for it. You are not stepping into something beyond your capacity. You are stepping into something that matches your growth. Every test refined you. Every delay strengthened you. Every waiting season matured you. You are ready. And when midnight passes, whether you see immediate change or gradual unfolding, trust that movement has begun. Not everything manifests with noise. Some breakthroughs unfold like sunrise, steady, undeniable, unstoppable. Just because you do not hear thunder does not mean the atmosphere has not shifted. Carry confidence forward. Do not wake up tomorrow questioning whether tonight mattered. It mattered because you treated it as sacred. It mattered because you aligned intentionally. It mattered because you responded instead of delaying. You will look back on this moment and recognize it as a turning point, not because of dramatic emotion, but because of deliberate obedience. Sometimes the most powerful shifts are quiet decisions made with conviction. So let peace replace pressure now. Let assurance replace anxiety. Let expectation replace doubt. What hath been forming will reveal itself in its time, and you will not miss it because you chose awareness over indifference. Type "IT is done" in the comments as your final declaration of agreement. Blessing code 1204 is now activated. As you declare those words, may peace guard your mind, may clarity guide your steps, and may every door meant for you remain firmly open. And as this message comes to its close, I want to speak one final word to those who feel deeply connected to this mission. When you sow into this work, you are not funding content. You are fueling divine interruption in someone else's midnight hour. The word declares that those who bring light to others will shine brighter themselves. And right now, your obedience can become someone else's breakthrough moment. If this message marked your heart, that marking is your invitation. I am responding to God's timing, and as you release your seed through super thanks, membership, or PayPal in the description, or through the QR code on your screen, you help carry this urgent word across borders and into homes that need it before their window closes. This is not ordinary giving. It is prophetic alignment. I declare that as you sow into this assignment, acceleration, protection, and favor pursue you. Step forward now and seal your agreement with action. You will not miss this. A window was announced. The instruction was clear. The alignment was made. And what God has prepared for you will not pass you by. It is done.